Where did you go to college? It's just a small liberal arts school up north. Me too. Where exactly? Oh, nowhere special. Just up by Boston.
Hi, my name's Taylor, and I went to Harvard.
Harvard. What? I said I went to Harvard. Why are you whispering? Well, I just didn't want to drop the H-bomb, you understand. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, you've got me. I went to Harvard.
Today, I want to tell you about that experience because it was hard.
It was good, but it was hard. It was good, but it was stressful. And it was also hard. And there's a lot to say, and I want to say it here, where my thoughts are more clear, but also here.
On Harvard's campus, where I was a student for 2 years.
And I'll also reenact a few things because I just think it's funny.
And side note,
Please just keep in mind that everything I'm saying is just my experience, my opinion. And that's it. That's it.
I found out that I got into Harvard on a February evening. I was sitting in my history of Iran class
Yep, you do learn life skills in college.
when I received an email saying that I was accepted into a master's program at the College of Arts and Sciences in Russian Studies, a 2-year program. I internally freaked out, but on the outside, I stayed super cool. Immediately after class, I called my mom. Mom, I got into Harvard. I was so excited, and she was so excited that I actually started kind of freaking out and panicking. What if I'm not good enough? What if it was a mistake?
You're an idiot!
The weird thing about Harvard is so many people who get in don't even think they should be there. But then there's the other group who's like, yeah, I really couldn't see myself going anywhere else.
Like you don't have an imagination, but whatever.
What's my relationship with Harvard? I got my master's there at the College of Arts and Sciences. I did Russian studies, 2 years, lived on campus for both years.
If you're an undergrad, you'll be living in these houses. If you meet a Harvard undergrad and you tell them you go to Harvard, they'll just be like, what house did you live in? And I'm a grad student. I lived in a dorm. It's different. So your experience is totally different depending on where you were at Harvard. So as a grad student, honestly, it can be hard. It can be boring. There can be some fun stuff, but like this was the only party. No, yeah, there were other parties, house parties, that sort of thing. But most people are just really focused. And then when they're not focused, they're just kind of doing casual stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't know what people do. I'm kind of a loner, actually.
Funny thing about Harvard students is they're really a mixed bag of nuts. It's like any other university you go to. You get the people who are really smart and you know why they're there. And then there are a lot of just hardworking people who, you know, are more or less normal. Then there are the people you're just kind of like, I really don't know why you're here, but they are. And that's fine because
The world is better when we just meet different types of people and learn from different types of people. Not everyone's a genius. In fact, I think there are only a small number of people who are super smart. A lot of Harvard students are just really hardworking. And then there are others who you're just like,
And now, a quick tour of everywhere where I cried on Harvard's campus.
Richards Hall, Sieges Knaufel, Sieges South, Lehman Hall, Widener Library. Where?
So now we're approaching Harvard Yard, which is the historic center of Harvard's campus. This is where all the undergrads live. It's very touristy. One time I was there, first week as a student, I see a famous student walking across campus. And this famous student has a very, very famous mom. And all I'm doing is looking around for security and no one's there. That doesn't mean they weren't there, but no one's there. But me and this very famous student went to college at the same time. And she was just like, Mom, that's, I swear, the only thing I heard of the conversation. And all I could think about was, I know who your mom is. I know who you're talking to.
So one of the dumbest controversies I was a part of at Harvard was about spending money on unhealthy food.
so if a donut goes to a meeting, should we protest? Should we protest it?
So for context, I was a part of a residence hall association and
We were tasked with having a meeting. I think it was maybe once a week, every 2 weeks, something like that. And we'd always bring some sort of food, just for fun. And so people would come.
And we would just order normal stuff like pizza or Chinese takeout or whatever. And then one week we get a letter that's like, I feel totally discouraged to coming to these meetings because you only provide unhealthy food and it creates a toxic environment. They probably didn't use the word toxic, whatever.
And they said, hey, you shouldn't be providing all of this unhealthy food. It makes it harder for people to come when they know they're going to be tempted by unhealthy food. So you can complain about anything, that's fine, but the thing was, this became the topic of every single meeting. So there were people saying, no, just because it's unhealthy doesn't mean we can't have it. Other people said, humans are addicted to sugar and fat. So if you provide a lot of food with this sort of sugar in it, then people won't be able to help themselves, and it's like they're addicted, so it puts them in a very uncomfortable environment.
It creates an environment that's not welcoming for all people. And it blew my mind because
I really do prefer when there are healthy food options, but I'm not going to complain when there aren't any. And just to put everything into context, these meetings took place at like 8 p.m. We mostly all just went to the dining halls and those closed by 8 p.m. So assumably most people already had dinner and then came to these meetings where there was just extra food. It's not like this was the only food available and we decided to, I don't know, make everyone feel uncomfortable by providing free food that isn't the best for their health.
Also, I will say that this food kerfuffle was going on around the same time that the FDA was finally deciding to put added sugar labels on food. I don't want to trivialize these concerns, and this discussion was had before binge eating as an ED was talked about as much, so there are actual real arguments that this person brought up that were kind of ahead of its time.
first of all, it's totally optional to come to our meetings, okay? But the other point the student made is that this food is unhealthy and very tempting. So because it's very tempting, it doesn't feel comfortable to be in the environment with tempting food. So the argument is, I want to come to the meeting, but when there's unhealthy food, I don't feel comfortable because I'm tempted.
And I can understand that, but is that something that we need to change on a systemic level? I don't know, and there was so much debate. We might have spent like 3 meetings debating this and taking a formal vote on it, so I don't even remember the conclusion.
People got really mad and didn't want to come to the meetings, and we had a vote on it. What was the outcome of the vote? I don't even know. What do you think? Would it be better with no food at all? What do you think?
Another thing about Harvard, it's hard. One stereotype I've heard about Harvard is that it's harder to get in than it is to graduate. And that's so hard to comment on because Harvard has so many different schools. There are some schools that have very, very small acceptance rates, like the college. And then there are schools that have very, very large acceptance rates, like the Division of Continuing Education, which I could make a whole video about that school because
There is so much to be said about it. I've taken a class there, I've been a teaching assistant for classes there, I've met students from there, so I have a lot of thoughts on that school, but I digress.
Anyway, is it harder to get in than it is to graduate? No, that's ridiculous.
I mean, first of all, admissions is a crapshoot. It is, because you can have all the right stuff, but you apply at the wrong time. If you have a horrible academic track record, you're just not going to get in. But if you're a decently good student, there are a lot of other factors out there that make it quote-unquote harder to get in. You can have a lot of the right stuff and just be there at the right time, because maybe you're a grad student and your research aligns with a certain professor, and so maybe they want you. But then maybe the next year, you're the same student and they don't want you. Maybe they have too much of the same person. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is there are so many different factors about why you may or may not get in. So it's so hard to say whether it's actually harder.
But once you get in, is it easy to graduate?
No! It's so much work. Even if you are in the lightest program, it's still a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Yes, sometimes grades seem inflated.
Like, for example, getting a B- is really, really bad. So bad, B-, ugh. C, that's like failing. Getting a C at Harvard is like failing. Well, okay, fine. It probably depends on your program.
Some programs are really hard, so maybe it's normal to get C's in some programs, but in a lot of Harvard, C is nope. So is it harder to get in than it is to graduate? No. Probably not. I have to say probably not, because what do I know?
And now, a mini tour moment. You can go on a Harvard tour, and I did. They're fine. But they won't show you this, so I will.
Coming up upon the Carpenter Center for the Visual Arts. It was designed by French architect Le Corbusier, primarily. And this is one of only 2 of his buildings in the Americas, not just the United States, the whole Americas.
The coolest thing about this building is you can walk literally right through it without even going inside, so let's go.
Also, here's another thing I think that's annoying about Harvard students. It's this, which I will share, and I will just preface to say, I think this is common for students in a lot of places, and
People in general, depending on the situation, but it's more annoying at Harvard. Sorry, I get annoyed easily.
A weird thing about Harvard is a lot of students who go there at some point in time think they shouldn't even be going there. Like, it's so wild because we just think, oh wow, you go to Harvard, you must be really smart or hardworking. And then the students there are just like,
No, you have the wrong guy. It's not me. It's not me. It's not me.
yeah, it's just a weird disconnect. And I know this is known as imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome, the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own effort or skills. People suffering from imposter syndrome may be at increased risk of anxiety.
A lot of people have imposter syndrome, but then there are also those people who are just like, I couldn't see myself going anywhere else. Like I'm God's gift to academia, obviously. And, I don't know. That self-confidence will get you somewhere.
Imposter syndrome's hard, but at the end of the day, it's all in your head, so there are bigger problems to be had, which is not to dismiss it. I mean, it kind of is to dismiss it, but whatever. Okay, this is so freaking annoying because I'm filming this video in New York, which means I had to pack to get here, and I brought my Harvard shirt, which I've had for years, so long it has these holes in it. And then when I was at the airport, I bought this new Harvard sweatshirt, which was totally overpriced, and I was gonna wear it in this video.
And it's late at night, I'm so tired, and I'm not gonna refilm the whole thing, but I just want you to know that I was prepared for this, and I forgot. Please like and subscribe. Bonus fact, there's a student-run bar in the basement of this building. They hid that one well, which means what else are they hiding?
Actually, wait, stop. I just found this out while editing the video. It's permanently closed. I've been there so many times. Oh my gosh. That is so sad. Like, anytime a bar closes, I think humanity's having slightly less fun, so I'm so sad. I'm kidding. But I'm also really sad because it was student-run and kind of nice.
what do you think about Harvard? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for joining.